driving at 2 in the morning, tag you know immediately, and then they just be fired.
I'm like, okay.
Welcome to Leaf Sales with Ian Nethercott and Larry Feldman live.
If you look at the last 4 years, Ian, we've answered 41 million phone calls for dealers over the last 4 years with our AI platform. We've also handled over 150 million text messages. And so when you look at just those raw numbers, that's a 4-to-1, 3.5, 4-to-1 text to phone call. So I don't know. Here's what I can tell you, though. I believe that the customer wants to be met where they are presently. If that is text, voice, video call, if they want to be engaged and engaged instantly.
I think the Toyota stores are your target client, but you might get away with that at a Chrysler or a Ford store. They got 400 cars.
Well, I'm just looking at it going, and I had a discussion with a small insurance broker called Hub Insurance. I don't know if you know them. They're one of the biggest insurance brokers in the world. I think they're a $5 billion company. And I said, so if I could tell you as an insurer on a fleet policy for your car dealership where all my inventory is at any time, would that be something that get me a discount?
What did he say?
He said, I'm going to talk to our actuary. I'm pretty confident we could do something for you in that regard.
Insurance companies don't like the word discount. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but if I'm insuring 500 cars, plus let's just say it's a fleet of loaner cars, and I've got dealer tags, I have no idea where they are because I just don't track them well. And I could solve that problem and let you give you access. Is that something that you'd want to know, or you want to just keep charging you for insurance and hope it works out? So yeah, they're interested. But the real key piece I think that I like about it is the Bluetooth piece. So in 2 years, all keys will have to have Bluetooth embedded. So then you can tie the key and the plate together, and then it makes it really interesting from a tracking car, but more importantly, tracking inventory. But if let's just say you did a puppy dog close with a dealer plate, you would know where that car was. You could see which competitors they went to, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You can do all kinds of stuff with it. But I mean, I like this simplicity, but more importantly, years ago when I sold anti-theft products, they put these stupid stickers on the glasses. That's going to stop someone from stealing it. And I'm like, that's got to be the dumbest idea I've ever seen in my freaking life. A sticker on the glass is going to stop them? I don't think so, man.
ADT's done it with signs, with yard signs for years and worked with them.
Yeah, I don't think the car thief cares. Yeah, I'm not going to break that glass because it's got a sticker on it. Yeah, I was.
Everyone.
Good evening. And Russell, I may have a lead for you too. Just I don't know if do you work with Napleton?
Yeah, I've tried.
I got a guy for you. They have 85 stores. I just did an interview.
Which store? Which guy?
He's the director of Fixed Up.
Don't tell Tony. I'm trying to get a reseller in on that.
He's the director of Fixed Operations for the group.
I know
you used to have the whole group.
Yeah.
We as a matter of fact, I think they're still on my first company, Car Research CRM.
Well, I was talking to him about service, and I guess maybe I had a couple questions. I can't release the whole interview, but I will connect you to him. I think there's an opportunity.
Well, it was a pleasure to see you, Ian, Doug, Mike Larkin, Larry Feldman, love you, man, Gene, Alec, Rhonda, and Tony T. What'd it be?
Russell, you look awesome, man.
Thank you.
What have you been doing? Eating right? Getting exercise? What? You look great.
I have been thinking. No, let me tell you. First off, 2 weeks ago, I went to the dermatologist, and I got to go every 6 months instead of once a year. So I have like 5 or 6 precancers. So he took care of that. They're all healed up. And then Tuesday, they'll start to fall off. But I went to a place he recommended across the street and had laser done on these little red spots, which so they'll be falling off too. I think that just, I mean, I'm going to be a handsome mother, you know?
Yeah. Plastic surgery.
You get me catcalled before you know it.
And no, but why, it was really inexpensive too. I think they zapped 6, maybe 7 little spots. Some of them have already disappeared. And it's like, then they said, well, you know, we can do a filler on your lips. I said, pass.
Yeah.
My dad was a dermatologist, so if you ever want some dermatological thoughts, let me know. He's deceased, but he had some thoughts. Put it that way.
I'm on the list for a head transplant.
We used to call my
Russell,
dad,
Russell, in my teen years, they used to call those red spots zits.
Yes, I have those too. This is, it's like
Age
you know,
spots.
what is it when women get it more than men do? The little red spider things, veins.
Spider veins. Yep.
That's what it is. It's just blood, you know, little blood vein things. They zapped them, and they assured me that you won't need they're going to
Don't
disappear.
need a new face.
Yeah.
But they have that just in case, right?
Then I'm going to get a chin job and then a nose job, and I'm going to get hair implants. Talk about vanity. Would that not be vain? Really, think about it.
It's not the work; it's the upkeep.
we used to tell my dad that he used to get visited by Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
He used to come back in after getting himself cut out. He had Agent Orange exposure. And so he'd have like the Band-Aids all over his head, his ears, his face, his neck, and then up and down his arms. And it was about 2 times a year.
They used to ask my dad about hair transplants. He says, I don't have one myself. You think I'm really the guy to do that for you? I think I'm not doing that, buddy. But thanks for asking.
I was in last week. I unplugged. I left Wednesday morning, spent a couple days in New York City with my wife, and then we drove to got a car and drove to Fraxburg, Pennsylvania, with family that everybody happened to be there that's left. 2 of them are on hospice, and so it's probably after her dad passed away, her dad's side. It's probably the last she'll see of him. So I completely devoted all my time and attention to my wife, and I unplugged.
Good for you.
Smart.
What part of Pennsylvania was that?
Frackville.
Where's that?
And that is where?
I have no idea, but it's
It's right next to Summersburg. Pennsylvania's full of birds.
Harrisburg, close to Harrisburg.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Whenever I think of Pennsylvania, I think of Harry Chapin, that Harry Chapin song with the
It was
bananas.
beautiful. We've been in New York a lot, but we did 3 things we hadn't done. We did a top bus tour, which was never do that again. It was supposed to be a somebody, telling you about what you're passing and stuff. They didn't even follow the schedule, and nobody said a word. And then we went on a hour-long bike, not a horse. We've been on the horse thing, but a bike thing around Central Park, and got to spend some time with Strawberry Fields and my buddy there, John Lennon, over my shoulder. And then the last thing we did is we went to a musical play, Michael Jackson.
Interesting.
Yeah, I heard it's good.
It is very good. Yeah.
So I think you were in the Poconos somewhere.
Yep. Poconos. Yep. Pocono. That rings a bell. Pocono. Yep. All I know is we were higher up there. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I gotta tell you,
So what was the highlight?
her side of the family, man. I mean, they are some really negative people. I mean, really negative.
Wow.
But here's the highlight story. So her uncle has severe Alzheimer's, and 40 years ago, I don't know how long he's been retired, but he was a state trooper, and this lady was in a very serious crash, and I think there was a couple of deaths or something like that, but her and her kid were okay. And anyway, he followed up with her, checking on her 2 or 3 times after he handled the crash incident, and they ended up getting married. They've been married for 40 years.
Wow.
That was a great story.
That's a cool story. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I just stampeded in here. I don't even know what this is about, but it's not about Ruffles Getaway. Okay, so what's the topic, Larry? What are we doing?
Go ahead, Larry.
We're talking about dealing with tougher customers and how to handle them. And by the way, Russell, how's this for a weird coincidence? I was in the Poconos on Saturday. We played, the band played at Otter Lake.
And I mean, I think as I'm getting closer, my bucket list is I have to watch you and your band, because the YouTube videos, although they're freaking great, man, I can only imagine what it'd be like in person, Larry.
I'll send you a schedule. See when it's convenient for you. It'd be great to have you.
And I would like to say this though. If you don't know, one of my business partners, he was a silent 10% owner of the company. He passed away.
I'm sorry to hear about that.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Sorry
And
for
then,
your loss.
yeah, and then
Russell, did you say
Dolly
Bob?
Parton.
Dolly Parton,
Yeah.
80.
Yeah.
That was a kick in the butt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did
And then
not expect that.
Roger Conant too. For those of you who knew Roger.
Great guy.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Phenomenal.
And then we just found out Tim Curry died.
Yeah, Tim Curry.
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to be in his mid 40s maybe.
No, 80.
Oh, Tim Curry. Oh, I was thinking something else.
You're thinking of
You know,
Steph
Rocky
Curry.
Horror
He's
Picture
still
Show.
around.
I don't know. There's something to be said about when you get older and they start opening you up for any kind of surgery and oxygen hits the inside of your body. It's
Yeah.
over, man. It's just
You know what, Russell? That happened to my mother. She had surgery at like 90.
yeah.
And the next thing you know, it's like, I'm really sick. You know?
Yeah, it's the anesthesia.
Oh,
It's
my.
the anesthesia.
I don't know how,
that does
but
it.
No, I think he's right. I think it's the oxygen. It goes in there and does things.
something, yeah. What if
Yeah.
it like activates the cancer or something? So
Uh-huh.
what about difficult vendors and difficult clients? It seems even more difficult today, doesn't it?
It seems like everybody's a contrarian these days. Everybody seems to go out of their way to make everything a little bit more difficult. I mean, it certainly makes you appreciate the people that are reasonable and fair. But man, there's some people out there that can just make you crazy. I won't mention any names, but Ron and I are grappling with a situation where you just can't believe how silly the people are. And
I think
how,
we need to mention their names. That's what
Okay, yeah. They're big fat liars, if you want to know the truth.
You mean some people can be difficult? Who knew? Well, it was funny. It was funny. So I did this interview today, and I won't be releasing the whole thing. We'll be releasing pieces, but they have a few stores, and I talked to them about change, because it's about CX, but it's about change with technology. And he said, well, the biggest challenge that he's facing is really learning from the other big groups on how to have everything work seamlessly from front to back, sales, service, AI, not AI, integration with CRMs, these kind of things. And I think he's real reasonable, because he's been in the family 4 generations in terms of in the business. But I agree with you. I think some expectations really need to be taken down a notch in some cases. It's not so much the client, it's their expectations are a little unrealistic in some cases, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I think also how you treat the customer initially, or how you set up the proposal initially, should be the guidepost and reference frequently on the part where it starts going sideways. So when someone's screaming and yelling at you, it's kind of nice to remind in a gentle way, did we scream and yell at each other when you first came in? Or were we there to help you and assist you and guide you with good expectations and service? Well, no. Okay. So if you are looking for a resolution, would we not want to go down that same path and be working together? Because it can be a minefield, and you can argue back hard and mimic their expressions, their facial cues, and their tone, but you're not going to get anywhere. And sometimes you need to just absorb and then re-engage, but if they continue going back to that, then you have a decision to make. Are you going to continue to allow it? And then you've changed what the relationship is, Or are you going to say, I need to reset expectations of how we're going to work together, if we're going to work together? And sometimes that can be hard because now you're talking about contract and who's willing to cut the contract, and is it worth cutting the contract? And everybody has their different tolerance level for how much yelling, screaming, foul language, profanity, and just general frustration they're willing to put up with. But I think everybody has to have that conversation, that self-talk conversation with themselves as far as where is it that I'm willing to let this go and what's my drawing line. As far as both as an individual, as a company, especially the people that are working for you, where is it that they have to stop and get somebody else involved? I always kind of took it as this, what's the name? The bar movie.
Cocktail?
The bouncers.
Oh, the
What's
bouncer
that?
one. Roadhouse, you mean?
What's that?
Roadhouse?
Yes, Roadhouse. You have to be nice. You can't throw them out. I can throw them out. But my service advisors don't throw them out. If they're being so inappropriate and that, then you say, hold on a second, I think I need to get somebody else to handle this conversation. Then I'll handle the conversation. Or my service drive manager will handle the conversation. And you don't have, I appreciate what your emotions are, but you're in direct line. You don't need to have this source of frustration. I don't need you being cussed at. I don't need you to be talked down to. I don't need any of that to my staff. That's my job. I'll handle the conversation from there. And then maybe we can reset it or you can leave. But you're not going to belittle my staff. That's an owner's perspective or a manager's perspective of you need to step in and take care of and protect your staff. You shouldn't put them in a position where something gets said that can't be taken back, and you're not the person that should be making the call.
I think that falls into the category of deals you'd rather not make, of the customers you don't want, because there's no way to satisfy them, and your net result is a negative.
I mean, years ago, I worked in the computer business, and I had always a percentage of customers who something was wrong that they didn't understand, and they felt that screaming at me was going to magically fix it. And I go, you can keep screaming at me, dude, but I haven't even looked at it yet. So you could either calm down and we could have a conversation, or you could keep walking, I guess. But I think that's also true sometimes in retail environments, especially in the service department, but also in sales. I remember a guy years ago that he was screaming at me that I didn't have a specific used car. And I said, I don't even sell those new, man. Did you look at the logo? Like, what's the chance of me having that used? Probably not high. Like, the logo ahead of me is pretty big. Like, I'm not trying to bust you up, but like, we don't have that car new. So used, we probably don't have it. It's unusual. And he eventually figured it out. But I think sometimes people, their opinion is they're so focused on that they can't see the peripheral. They're so laser focused on that.
When you multiply that by stupidity, I'm not, this sounds like I'm making it up, and I'm not. I go in on a TO on a Hyundai.
Okay.
This is a billion years ago.
Yeah.
And there was a Hyundai dealer. If you're from the East Coast, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, you know who this guy is. He's a former football player.
Yeah.
And they did Dateline. All these programs came after him because he was so crooked. So I say, come over, because I see the salesman's not getting it done. And she says, first of all, Mr. Feldman, it's nice to meet you, and I just want to compliment you on your salesperson. He's way nicer than the place I just left. They were crooks. I couldn't wait to get out of it. I said, great. This is the best news I've heard all day. Hopefully we can make a deal. She says, well, I want to go back to them and see if they'll beat the price. I mean, the illogical nature of who we deal with and how we deal with them. It's almost like it's a shame we can't get people to tape or video themselves when they say things and then make them watch it back. So this way we don't have to comment on their lack of intelligence. It becomes, completely evident. But everybody in this panel has one of those stories where you just, the logic just bends to the point where it breaks.
Yeah.
No, I remember early morning, I think it was on a Saturday or Sunday, I had a customer walking on the lot and he was looking at, happened to be a Honda CRV. And I went up to talk to him. I said, do you have any questions? He goes, oh, I'm not buying a CRV. I'm going to buy a RAV4. I said, okay, dude. Like, you can still look at it. Like, doesn't matter to me. But it was like he was offended that I had a question. I was happy there to answer a question about a vehicle he was physically looking at. And I was like, some people just a little off.
And you're another story. It doesn't sound real, but I swear it was.
Yeah.
And it happened on the same day. Now, if it happened a week apart, I get it. But on the same day, I get a call. He says, "You have the rudest dealership of all time." I said, "I'm so sorry. What's the problem?" "I was on your lot. They ignored me." I says, "Gosh, I'm so sorry. Maybe they wanted to give you space. I apologize. I'm not making this up. Within an hour, I get a call. Man, what the hell is it with your place, Feldman? It's like they're sharks. I came on the lot and 3 guys jumped on. So sometimes it's just, you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's 3 things I like to do when I have a problem, either customer or employee. First thing that I do is I get a notepad. The second thing I do is I listen. I guess there's 4. Listen, paraphrase what they said, and I ask one simple question: is there anything else? And then they usually interrupt me when I do that. Is there anything else? And then they'll start, and I just let them get it out of them. And I'll paraphrase again: is there anything else? And then the final thing that I do, which I guess would be the 4th thing, is I say, what would you like me to do? Not how can I make you happy? What would you like me to do? And so often when I ask that question after following the other steps, it's way less than I imagined they would want, just by following those 3 steps. And I write it down so they know I'm listening, and so I can paraphrase just the bullet points. Is there anything else? Blah, 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 blah. Great. So what I heard you say, is there anything else? Sooner or later, all the wind goes out of their sail, and they settle down. What would you like me to do? Boom. Works really well.
Yeah, there's actually a great book I read many years ago, How to Deal with Difficult People, when I was in the computer business. Really recommend it. But more importantly, to your point, sometimes it's just listening to them for a couple minutes and just going, I'm not going to react at all. Like, just, say your piece. And then once they calm down, then maybe you can have a conversation. If they keep yelling, you got to kind of go, listen, like, sooner or later, you got to let me respond.
That works for most people, Ian.
Yeah.
I've encountered people that don't want to have the problem solved. They're enjoying being angry too much. They just, it's the Einstein quote. Be careful of negative people. They have a problem for every solution. Mr. Larkin, I know you've butted heads with some strange people. You don't have to name a name, but how difficult situations you've been involved in.
10 years as a bartender in an Irish pub, I can tell you some stories. The most famous one was how in Alexandria, Virginia, it's just across the water from DC, they were naming me the bartender for Murphy's Irish Pub. Hey, you're going to be the Sunday NFL ticket guy. Like, all right. So I'm going to choose my team. No. We're going to vote on it. I'm like, no. I'm not going to be here on a Saturday night till 4 a.m. and have to wake up at 7 for a 1 o'clock, and I'm not going to have my own team. Anyway, that summer, everybody that came in that bought a Red Sox hat or a Celtics jersey would get a ballot. And that year we were down at the last count before the last day. We were down 7 votes. What's his name? Joe Montana. He was the first year he was playing for the Chiefs. Just aging myself down. But we were down 7 votes. I'm like, oh, I don't like the Chiefs. So that day, I must have been a direct message to God, because a busload of nuns from Boston came into Murphy's Irish Pub for lunch. You want to see me snapping pencils in half and sharpening them as quickly as I could to get a ballot in front of each one of the nuns. So the head nun, Sister Regina, she got in my face and said, "What are you doing, sir?" I said, "Oh, no problem. I'm just giving the nuns a ballot for voting for the football team that's going to be here this fall." "Sir, we don't like football." And I shot back her a look and I said, "Just put in New England."
Wait a minute. What
20
about
years
Notre Dame?
later-
What about Notre Dame and touchdown Jesus? And by the way, I remember that year with Montana. He played unbelievable well.
Yeah, he did.
He went a long way.
He came a whisker from doing the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now
By
he's
the way,
still in
Notre
Erie.
Dame is going to be playing at Camp Rand or Lambeau Field. Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Lambeau Field, first game of the season.
That's
but the moral to the story is Sister Regina. I never met her again, but she did put in New England. We won by 9 votes, and to this day, every time there's a Patriots game, there's 250 people max in that bar to this day.
Living
Crazy.
proof that in Massachusetts, even the nuns are rigging the vote. That's what I suspected.
True story.
Haven't seen you in a while. I'm sure you've encountered a few difficult customers, my brother.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind, and before I get going, Russell, I wanted to thank you for meeting with Brian Ali at Zip Deal. It was a nice favor that you handled for me. I appreciated that.
Yeah, great guy. We still need to, man. It's really tough, man. But we need to hook up again.
Yeah. No, so years ago when we used to go out for dealers that are thinking about going one person, we would go in and spend 2 days in the store before we even agreed to move forward and do what we called was a readiness assessment. So we came into the store, the GM, we sit down with the GM who had recently taken over the store, who was obviously hyped up on all kinds of
Narcotics?
Narcotics.
enhancing chemicals. We're gonna interview all your team, and then I'll come back and report to you what I thought or what I felt. And so we started doing that, interviewed everybody, and I asked everybody, "So how do you like your new GM?" And they all loved him. And but it got back to him the next day, and he says, "What are you doing? You're asking all my people about me. What the hell are you doing?" And before I could even say a word, he goes, "I'm sick of this. You're out of here. Get the hell out of my store." And I stayed very calm, and I said, "Do you want to know what I found out?" And he just blew up more, and I said, "Fine." And I just packed up and left and realized this wasn't just not worth it. It's just not worth the brain damage. And I agree with what's been said. When someone's blowing up at me, I just sit and listen and stay very calm.
Yep.
And then just react accordingly. And oftentimes, if it's unresolvable, that's fine. Then agree that it's unresolvable and move on. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, I would venture to say, Doug, that wasn't even about you, probably. He just
too much coke.
Mm-hmm.
When people get arrested, it's because somebody usually rats them out. But the perfect thing here is if Doug Reeves did kill the guy, he would have never got caught because Doug Reeves is into a one-person police problem. Correct?
Now, let me tell you what, I'm like Doug. I learned this from a service manager in 1997. I was working the service drive, and this customer, I watched it happen. She got out of her car. She was walking intently, and she immediately came unglued at him. Okay, and I was watching all this happen. Now, you would think that she just went off on him. He stood there, very calm, cool, and collected, nodded his head, listening to her, eye contact, appropriate length away, not to be in her space. And what you think went on for 5 or 10 minutes was only about 30, 40 seconds. She paused long enough to take a breath. And he said, "I apologize. Can you forgive me?" And then he shut up. And she immediately just apologized and melted. And it had nothing to do with him. And the dog, and she tripped, and something happened here, something happened there, the traffic. It had nothing to do with him whatsoever. Now, my question to all of you is that whether you're right or wrong, or the person's right or wrong, do you think that's a good defense or offense, or a combination of both, whether you're right or wrong?
Yeah.
It's awesome, because the point is you don't want to win the battle and lose the war. And you want to try to, that's you said that before, Russell, and it still sounds brilliant. Hey, we've got Christian and Gene. Whoever wants to go first, tell us about a difficult customer you dealt with.
Gene, if you want to go ahead, go for it. I can go if you don't want to go. I'll give you the first shot.
You're muted, Gene.
Shot was fired over the bow. Now it's on you, Christian.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I guess in general, like when I thought about it, I apologize for popping in late, so I didn't get to hear exactly what has also been said. So I'm assuming similar things like Russell had just talked about, being calming the customer, de-escalating the situation with your own body language, and obviously with your tone. But one thing, a concept I kind of like is I call it pass the hot potato. So salespeople say, what do you do when a customer says they want a $150 payment on a $50,000 car with no money down, and they got negative equity? And I mean, rather than get into what I can't do if you have money down and all that kind of stuff, I kind of like throw them the hot potato back, and I'll just say, hey, you know what? I tell you what, you're gonna find this out. No one's gonna work harder for you. I mean, I'm up for any challenge, and this sounds like it's gonna kind of be a challenge. So how do you think we should go about doing it?
Ooh,
and then just shut the hell up.
And
just pass it right back. Yeah, it's just passing. I always call it pass the hot potato right back to them. But you do it real nice, and so anyway, that's just something I thought I would share. And the other thing I thought I would notice, and this question to y'all, but you ever notice how a customer is really tough on the phone, but yet when you get them in person, it totally changes. So it's kind of like they get phone muscles. So I always invited, when I was a general sales manager, somebody be pissed. I mean, I would try as much as I possibly could to get them in. Now, today's day and age is a little more difficult with all the remote stuff, but I always thought it was interesting, kind of made me laugh. This is the same person I was on the phone. I mean, they were like saying things that would make a sailor blush, and now this is like the nicest person in the world. So anyway, this is a couple thoughts I'd share with y'all.
It's like the keyboard warriors. They're all upset when they can't see them, but when they show up, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Gene, can you run mic?
Gene, can you hear us? Can you hear me now? I guess not. So yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, when you're looking at it, and the first step to understanding any problem is really trying to relate to the person. Might just be having a really bad day. Like, it might not be you, it might not be them even. It might just be the way they're looking at things. And at the end of the day, in a lot of cases, it's really about listening to what that problem may or may not be, or the perception of the problem. And sometimes the way they're looking at it is wrong too. But from a client point of view, and I've experienced this not only as a vendor, but also as a podcaster, sometimes you just get, the meeting of the minds doesn't make any sense. Like, what they're expecting or what they're wanting is just not in alignment with reality. And that's a different problem. Like, it used to be a little harder to identify. Today, it's a wrist bracelet, a mask, a little bit of a crazy attitude. But a lot of it is just not being willing to work towards a solution, in my mind. Like, I think most problems can be solved, with the exception of maybe death and a few other things. But, at the end of the day, a vast majority of this stuff can be solved. And luckily for me, I learned this lesson when I was in my 20s, when my parents were killed in a car crash. I mean, I learned the real definition of, where the bottom could be in theory and how you could go from there. And I think in a lot of cases, people just aren't looking at a solution or open to it. They're just angry. And in that case, you just got to let them vent a little bit and ignore a lot of it, because it may not help you.
Well, I think the other thing that's interesting is, how is the message that you received delivered? People have gotten so comfortable either texting or emailing.
Ooh, bad
and
idea.
it opens up so much room for misinterpretation of what's going on.
Yes.
And it's a chicken shit way to do it. as opposed to just, I mean, if I get an email from somebody who's upset, it's a phone call right away. I'm not going to respond in an email. I'm going to call because I need to know what their tone is, what's really going on. Did they write it wrong? They didn't mean it as harshly as they said, and just take it on, straight on.
Case in point.
But you sent
point from
Brian
today.
Alley. You sent me Brian Alley for some thoughts, and he laughed. He said, "Man, you actually answered your phone. Doug told me you would answer your phone. It's not complicated. People are dying for just a little bit of human connection."
Yep.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. So I'm doing this event in Detroit, CX 2026, and I'm working with 4 different LLCs that manage a facility that's run by General Motors to do conventions. And they want some liability insurance for the little booth I'm going to have to do interviews live at the show. So I'm reading this, and I used to sell insurance in a previous life. And I said, okay, who came up with this? And you want this done in like 3 days, but you're not clear on what the liability and who's getting the coverage and why it's even necessary. And then I had to talk to 3 other people, and I'm still waiting for an answer. It's like, listen, I'm happy to do the insurance, but like I kind of need to understand what you're doing. And instead of calling me, I got this email with all of this stuff. I don't need to understand your entire corporate structure. I just need to know what insurance I need so I can get it done. So it was kind of funny, but at the end of the day, the other thing that sometimes, to your point, I used to work with this guy who was a compliance officer for security for a bank, and he refused to use the telephone. So what he would do is make mistakes in real time using a series of emails. I remember talking to him when I worked with him, and I said, buddy, like if you're going to choose email, if that's your communication, that's what you like to do, no problem. You may want to stop doing that. He goes, why is that? I said, because I see you making these mistakes in real time, and it's all documented in writing.
So when I was a GM dealer, we believed their motto was ready, fire, aim. So none of that stuff shocks me.
Yeah.
Yeah, log documents in an email. I would agree. I think the phone is probably the super tool that I don't think is ever going to go away, but I think it's a great way to have at least a 2-way conversation. I mean, maybe it's a video call, maybe it's a Zoom meeting, but email and text messages can only do so much. Sooner or later, you have to deal with the problem. I mean, I always laugh today when I hear couples breaking up on a text message. I'm like, really? You don't have the decency to call that person? Like someone else could handle it.
Let's get Rhonda on the one for Vizzo that she doesn't use me as her difficult customer.
Okay, go ahead, Rhonda.
Okay, well, like Mikey was a Irish kid in an Irish bar. I was a Jewish kid in a Jewish deli. From the time I was about 15 to the time, actually after I graduated college, put me through college. But what I discovered was, and I was a waitress, what I discovered was people would come in hungry, and almost across the board, they were mean. They just, they sat down, they were not pleasant, not friendly, give me the order, go get my food. And again, across the board, as soon as I put the food down, they put a couple spoonfuls in their mouth, totally different people, completely. So my father's philosophy that I learned as a child was very simple. People are hungry, feed them.
Well, if you haven't checked out the movie, check it out. Deli Man, impressive.
Yeah. Once you go through that, and then you grow up and you have a business and you deal with difficult customers, you let it roll. It really doesn't bother you that much. If they're totally abusive, then you walk. So.
Did you ever go up to a table of 7 or 8 women and say, "Is anything okay?"
Yeah. I've done that with 7 or 8 men.
Hey, Alec, you started off early, but what are your thoughts? Have you tripped over a difficult customer? Do you think today's customers are more difficult than they were 10, 20, 30 years ago, or is it just a lack of communication skills?
I think some customers, I think the divide between an easy customer, what's typical, and what a difficult customer has become much more the gap. I think the difficult customers have the volatility or the sheer volume of how far they'll take it has gotten much higher. It spikes higher. And I think it is a result of a lot of things. I think as we have more digital communication, I'm not going to say keyboard warrioring or something like that. I think we just lose our social ability or acumen or skill
The
sets.
emollient between people, where it was easier to be gracious years ago, and now it seems easier to snap at people and holler, lean out the window and curse at somebody in traffic. Craziness.
I would say it's more than that too, though, because I think when we were growing up and we didn't like somebody or we had a difficult time with somebody, we still dealt with them. We would still eat a meal with them. We would still talk to them. We might not agree on everything, but we would make us curve around that conversation and just talk about stuff we might have more commonality in. Whereas now, we find what makes us different, and we want to attack and argue our point versus just get along. And I think when then later, when there becomes something that's difficult or friction point in the buying decision, the relationship, or what the transaction, we go off this cliff and we just go to that volatility level and we 10 times it versus what it actually needs to be. And I just don't think I think as a society, we have taken that route. And so it becomes too much of a spike for some people to handle.
I get it. Hey, David Rosick joined us while we're still waiting for Gene to unmic. David, we're talking about our customers more difficult than they used to be. Have we encountered some difficult customers? So you're up, my buddy.
I think people are just people, and there are some people that have some negative equity, and it takes some coaching salespeople on how to handle that. But I think it's no different in just understanding that people have problems, and we just have to work with them, find a way for them to buy a car. I mean, there's different types of customers. There's those people that have the ability to buy whatever they want. There's those people that have some financial constraints. There's those people that have some bad credit. There's a lot of new buyers. There's a lot of people that rely on hopes and dreams. There's a lot of people that are getting shocked because maybe their lease was $299 and today their lease is $800. So I mean, it's just taking them through the journey. But I think the biggest problem that I see is that there's so many dealers that have a lack of coaching and a lack of empathy, and they're playing out of a phone book or a playbook, and they're not necessarily marrying the customer and being a good concierge. They're just not problem solvers. They're just trying to go to the desk, and I think that a lot of times the desk isn't really involved in the deal. They're not doing the early manager introduction. I only trusted half of whatever a salesperson told me because I had already met that customer. I already knew what their needs were. I already knew they were coming on an appointment. I already made the appointment confirmation with them. So the BDC already prepped me on that person coming in general. It was the cold ones that were more fun because I would just start qualifying them and then land them with a good salesperson. And then I'd keep touching base with them throughout the sale. But I don't see that same interaction with managers. I see them playing on the fucking phone all day. And I don't see them doing the confirmation calls. I don't see the early, manager introductions. And half of them don't even know the freaking product. And if you don't know what to switch a person to and just how to say, hey, Mr. Customer, we looked at this one. You don't like the well, let me ask you this. Out of all the cars you looked at, which ones you like the best? Well, I really like that one. Great. Well, let me do this. Let's go and, if you haven't driven that car, let's go drive that. And let's, build them to buy a car. If you have, then we need to figure out how they can afford it, and I don't think we even know how to sometimes desk a deal anymore. We just give them retarded terms. What are they looking at? Well, they're at so-and-so here at this payment. Well, what are they putting down? Okay. What's that ad based on? We're not even looking and going, hey, this ad was based on 20% down. We're trying to do the same deal with no money down. And we're trying to get to a trade-in value that doesn't make sense either. So a lot of salespeople don't understand, are we negotiating retail to retail, wholesale to wholesale, and then just figure out the basics in a payment. If you don't understand the money factors, you can't figure a payment out in your head, and you're just got constantly landed on the wrong car, that's a problem. But it doesn't matter. I don't know how many people walk in saying they want to be $350 a month, and they'd walk out at $700 a month. In those situations, we're not trying to bury people, but many times people buy stuff and they spend a little bit more. Whenever I've asked people that golden question, and they say, well, I want to be around $350 a month, up to, and they say, well, no more than $450. Well, that's a maximum of, and they go, well, if it's really nice or that, we could probably go to five. Okay, great. And you do the same thing on the down payment. I mean, it's just basic steps to selling the car. But I sit in showrooms all the time when I pop in there, and I don't hear that shit. So there's some problems. They need Larry help.
I agree. Hey, before we bring Wendy on,
yes,
Wendy is fabulous at dealing with difficult people.
Yeah.
If anybody's around on Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard, sorry, Tony Tate, I'm going to be a featured guest on David Long's show. We're doing a program called Effective Training.
Nice. So, I'll be there.
When we're talking about difficult customers, and I know you won't know any names, mentioning names, but you and I were just discussing some difficult customers.
So, first of all, ditto to whatever David just said. And good evening, beautiful people. I missed you all.
Hi, Wendy.
I'm on my phone. Hi, my Rhonda.
How are
you? I'm really good. It's interesting we talk about if customers got more difficult. I know that you guys can talk about the in-house, in-showroom perspective, but I like to talk about the virtual showroom because that's where it all starts for me, and it starts at the engagement. And no matter how much we as a BDC, and I've been at the same dealership working with them for 2 months now, while I'm also working with one in Illinois, and they've got common challenges, except that different lead sources, whatever, one's a franchise store, one's a used car store. But my point is the more we as humans need to personalize and humanize our approach, like when we jump in on chats, like I'm talking specifically about podium chats and Glow 3D, which is Facebook Marketplace leads. It's like a dashboard for Facebook Marketplace. I'm telling you guys, the more we try to make it relational, the customers are still making it transactional, and they're all about lowest price, off the door, whatever. They want like $6,000 discounts, Obviously, Mr. Customer, our prices are competitive and aggressive, or you wouldn't be reaching out to us from across the country, right? Duh. But even though we don't say that, we're thinking it. Well, I am anyway. And if you tell me you're not, you're lying. But $6,000, really, Mr. Customer? Seriously, that's why some dealers have bet you to this day ad leaders online, because they want the engagement, right? Even though then the vehicle might be gone, it may or may not be authentic, and great reason they keep it on there. And the salespeople broom them from the lot anyway, because they'll be like, in some cases, oh, the BDC says whatever they want just to get you in because they get paid on appointments. The point is, that's what the customers are reacting to. They too are reactive. And I think that that's what's happening is we are still not humanizing it. We're letting our AI take control. We're not keeping the human element in there. We're still stupid enough, naive enough to think by our AI providers that AI is the solution. It's the humans that are training and teaching and treating the AI as a green pea coworker and team member instead of a tool. The guys that aren't paying attention and doing it right, they're the tools, you guys. And that's all I gotta say, because I'm getting a little heated up here, so I better shut up. Thoughts?
Well, there's
Well, we
a
just stopped the show.
You can't help people that refuse to be helped. You know what? The shows, we only got about 12 minutes and I haven't thrown any musical references. So we'll quote from Tommy. How can men who've never seen light be enlightened? If they just don't have a clue about how to be reasonable or fair, we're not in 3 seconds going to turn them into reasonable, fair people.
Yeah, I agree.
Another thing to remember, y'all, too, is you guys know this, but sometimes we follow these processes, and you've got a process, and it's great, and we've got word tracks, and I like word tracks, and I know some of you don't. But here's the thing: there's 4 different main personality styles, and you have to adapt to that personality style. So if you know the process well, you know the word track well, you can adapt to that process. So there's that book, and I know everybody on here is a bunch of voracious readers. Extreme Ownership by that dude Jocko, the Sergeant Jarhead guy. And
yep, Jocko.
He talks about commanders
He's an
and
Navy SEAL.
Okay, I just can't say his last name right, so I just say that
Wilkins, I think, or Williams. Williams.
Yeah, I always screw it up.
Willick.
I
think it's Willick, but I could be wrong.
Jocko William. Welcome.
Yeah.
I just bought his creatine, it's willing.
Yeah.
And Willick. Okay. So here's what he talks about: commander's intent. And commander's intent, you that have been in the military, I have not, but you know what commander's intent is, and that is they map out the mission, every little detail, every single little nook and cranny, everything's thought of. They've got it all scripted. They want it to go perfectly. However, when it's all said and done, there's something called commander's intent, which is like the main focus of the mission. So, for instance, when we were going after bin Laden, and we were doing that deal where we were doing that mission, we were going to go shoot him, the SEAL Team 6 dude. When they went in there, I'm sure they had this huge plan, right? But if you guys remember, it went to hell in a handbasket because the helicopter wrecked. So all of a sudden now the mission, I'm sure, went sideways. But whoever shot that dude, who shot bin Laden, remembered commander's intent, because he's like, okay, I know what the mission is, find that guy and shoot him in the head. And that's what he did. So again, back to, if you know the personality styles and you understand how to adapt to the personality styles, and then you've got your process down and your word tracks down, you can adjust properly to the right people at the right time and adapt. But I think keep that in mind too, and that would be people. And sometimes we fire people up by following the same cookie cutter process, and it will work with this customer, but it's not going to work with that one, right? So that's my thoughts: adapt the personality style, the platinum rule. Treat customers like they want to be treated.
And if you can't get them to be adapted, you just shoot them in the head. That's I think my old finance manager had that as a theory.
Well, get the book surrounded by. Get the book surrounded by. Get the book surrounded.
They're going to die.
Get the book Surrounded by Idiots: The 4 Types of Human Behavior and How to Effectively Communicate with Them. It was developed by the same guy who developed the DISC profile, if you're familiar with that. He's Erickson's the guy's name. It will help you in every area of your life because it has examples of every personality profile. For every personality profile, there's a nemesis profile that if you know what that is, you can adapt to it in real time. It'll also help you in every relationship in your life because it'll give you examples of who these people are and how they behave. And you'll be able to spot that way ahead of time. These guys developed that profile assessment. The only profile you can't adapt to is people that have a profile that can change. They can become anything. Those people generally are con men. So you'll be able to spot them too. But
yeah, that's not nice because that's my
narcissist. Right. There you go.
No, con men. They can actually change. They can become anything.
And by the way,
that's a very small percentage.
Any dealership with DISC, I'm certified, so I can do that, and I can provide the assessment as well.
Yeah, well, this is a great book. Highly recommend. Very, very good.
Wait a minute, Christian. I'm also certified crazy. Does that count as anything?
Sure. Hey, you know what? Do you have an assessment test? Just give it to them.
I think anybody that meets me would assess me as crazy. I think that certification is clear and evident. Hey, let's see if Gene has figured out a way to unmic. Gene, are you there, my buddy?
Nope.
Man, this has been he must really be on with a difficult customer. He's been on the phone for 40 minutes.
Just listening.
You know, Christian, you mentioned scripts, and people don't like scripts, and they don't like word tracks and all that. the difference between you and I and the people who do like scripts compared to those who don't is we figured out what works and we wrote it down. They just bumble, and stumble every day.
And we practiced it like a cajillion times, right?
Role play.
Yeah. Word and tone inflection. So yeah.
The
Yeah.
simple I understand does wonders, and just repeating back what you heard. And then moving them forward is always easy. If you just say, I understand, and nod your head to them, and then repeat it back. And say, okay, well, let's move to a resolution. But I recommend we do this. Wouldn't you agree? It's not rocket science.
Christian, I got a feeling you and I are going to stay real busy because I can't remember the last time I was in the dealership where I saw people doing role playing. And the basic essentials that you would think would, just be normal part of keeping your tools sharp, keeping your brain rolling.
Yeah, Ian plays a different type of role playing though.
I can't stand when I hear, oh, I went through your trade. I've been trained. What? I mean, training it's an ongoing process, not a one-time event. I mean, you're always practicing, you're always trained. You're getting better, you're getting worse. You won't staying the same without practice.
It's the Zig Ziglar quote. Training is like bathing. I recommend it daily because it doesn't last.
There you go.
So we're almost out of time. Final thoughts from everybody?
Tony's not saying anything.
You know what? I think most of the time, when you have a situation that gets heated, it's because somebody's trying to take a square peg and cram it into a round hole. Somebody's trying to do something or get away with something that just can't be done. And you just have to reduce it to, this is what's feasible. Let's see if that'll work. And if it won't, because they just demand that square peg go in, then you just say, well, then good luck. It's not going to happen with me.
Yeah. That's
Also,
great advice.
Tony, what's the third law of what is it? The four laws. What is it? The four laws of
It's called the
agreement.
four
Yes.
agreement.
What's the
And
third
it's
one? What's the third one?
Yeah, be impeccable with your word. Don't
take
make
anything
assumptions. Yeah.
But don't assume too, and don't personal. Those two right there, when it comes to a heated, upset customer, I think those two are key. Don't take it personal, and don't assume too. Because I think the other thing is, I think they want the engine replaced. No, they don't. They probably aren't that unreasonable. That they need the engine replaced. So keep those two in mind.
Always be your best. Or you can do like the image I posted in the chat. Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Yeah.
Rhonda does that to me all the time.
No,
Especially when I'm swearing.
Truthfully,
no,
it
that's a
can be
parade
that
wave.
easy. Yeah. It absolutely
That's a
can be
parade
that
wave.
Welcome to English Dale's home of the human emojis.
It's a golf wave.
I want to see Mike on a float in a parade wave. That'd be great.
Hey guys, can I chime in?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Are you gonna wave?
So, oh, sorry, that was for somebody else. So anyway, gotcha, Tony. Tony, you coming to beingsocialauto.com?
Thank you, my very dear friend. Go ahead, Russell.
It's funny you say that. I just I had a ticket, so I asked him if he would like to have the ticket because I'm co-sponsoring or whatever, speaking there. That's what I'm doing.
You are indeed, and that's
Is it at the Concourse?
60 miles from where and that's 60 miles from where my kids are at. So I'll be there regardless with wings on, no, with my halo on. But that's one of my go-tos. Sean Welsh is my guy from back when he was our Nissan rep, like 14 years ago at a model Russell.
Oh,
But
it's gonna
anyway,
be fun. Because I bought my
Yeah.
ticket 2 days ago.
Did you buy it, David? You gonna be there?
Yeah, I bought my
missed-
ticket 2 days ago, even though Lori offered to buy it for me for car clicks. And I was like, no.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you're gonna be
David,
there,
you were
David.
on stage
Tony.
3 times last year, weren't you?
Yeah,
I mean, I
3
missed
times.
last year because I was doing something else somewhere else or I'm broke.
I
One of the
wasn't
two.
supposed to be
Always
on
the
stage.
latter.
Russell's never been to Madison.
It's all Wendy's fault that I was on stage last year.
No,
Yeah, truly. And I'm so proud of myself. I truly am. Because you belong on stage, David.
No, I don't.
You need to share your gifts with more people.
Nobody wants to see a short, chubby guy.
Okay, I'm fixing to turn
Anyway.
into pumpkin.
Hold on. My thing is, David, I'm on my phone because I forgot to leave work early again. Can you please send me all those goodies you had in the chat before they close the call down? Can you copy them? And
Yeah,
are they in Zoom notes or something probably?
it's all from that chat GPT.
Good to see you, Kristen. Wherever it's from, I'd like to.
Yeah, it's a
consume it
GPT
later.
that I built for my son.
Awesome. I didn't want to monopolize the end of the call, you guys.
It's all right.
But
Russell's
great
just going to
call.
say right on.
Right on, Russell?
Right on. If nobody told you all that they loved you and appreciated you, Dave Russell Hill just did. And Tony Thorstad. And Dave, and on and on.
We'll see you all next week, and I hope to see you on, well, at least hear from you on Friday when I'm on with David. Everybody stay healthy.
Bye.
I'll
Thank
be
you.
fun.
See you guys.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for helping the industry get better today live.